So thank you everyone for joining us today for the webinar on the Healthy Lifestyles, Healthy School Meals grant. This webinar will provide an overview of the grant and the application process. So I'm Alyssa Grudy from the National PTA Programs and Partnerships Department. I will be one of your primary contacts throughout the grant process. We also do have Erin Thwaites, who is joining us. She is the Associate Manager in the Programs and Partnerships Department. She will also serve as one of your contact points throughout the grant process. And lastly, we'd like to thank Pew Charitable Trust for this grant opportunity. All right, so before we go further, I want to review the functionality of GoToWebinar. Your active participation is important throughout the session, but right now I do have everyone on mute to avoid background noises that may distract you from listening in. Throughout the presentation, we will be managing the chat functionality, so you can enter your questions and comments in the question box throughout the presentation, and we will have a Q&A session at the end to answer these. So this is how you raise your hand. I do suggest, though, if you are having technical difficulties, to go towards the top, towards help. And then here is where you will be entering your questions and comments. So a little overview of school meals. Each day, around 31.7 million students are served lunch through their school lunch service. And of these 31.7 million students, 21.5 million are receiving these lunches at free or reduced cost. School lunches are an important meal for students because they provide around 1/3 of the students' daily nutrient needs. Unfortunately, the health status of our nation's children is problematic. According to the Institute of Medicine, children's diets are of poor nutritional quality. They include too much saturated fat and salt, and too few fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Fortunately, in recent years, nutrition standards in the national school lunch and breakfast programs have improved. Standards include having to serve more fruits and vegetables, serving more whole grains rather than refined grains, reducing sodium content, and having to meet calorie needs. The nutrition standards have laid the foundation towards improved school meals, but there's still room for improvement. The overall goal of the grant is to improve school meals through a collaborative partnership with the school administration and food service providers. The success of this grant is dependent on the important partnership you will form. This grant brings together different viewpoints and knowledge about school meals, which allows for a comprehensive approach. So let's start with an overview of the grant. The grant will award 25 local PTAs with $2,000. $1,000 will be awarded upon grant acceptance, and the other $1,000 will be awarded when the action plan is submitted to the National PTA, which we'll get to in a second. PTAs that represent K through 12 are eligible to apply for the Healthy Lifestyles, Healthy School Meals grant. We are also strongly encouraging local PTAs that represent Title I schools to apply. Additionally, the grant deadline is April 4th at 12 p.m., and grant awardees will be announced in May of 2016. All right, so like we explained earlier, the goal of this grant opportunity is to improve school meals through a key collaborative partnership. However, the area of improvement will differ for each school depending on the challenges and needs each school is facing. But some areas of improvement include nutritious quality of the meals, the cafeteria environment, the capacity of the food service providers, or the overall meal quality. So for the nutritious quality of the school meals, how are they comparing to national nutrition standards? Is there more than one option for fruits and vegetables? Are the meals made from scratch using less prepackaged foods or ingredients? For the cafeteria environment, is the cafeteria welcoming? Are healthy foods promoted in the school cafeteria? And are healthy behaviors promoted? And for the food service providers' capacity, do they have the equipment and the training necessary to be as effective as possible? And for overall meal quality, what perceptions do students and parents have about the school meals? What do the food service providers think of the meal quality? Is there high participation in the meal served? Now we're going to discuss the outline of the grant. The formal grant implementation will occur between May 2016 to April of 2017. However, this grant will target sustainable interventions so that school meals should be impacted after the formal closure of the grant. Upon receiving the grant awardees will complete the Healthy Alliance for a Healthier Generation Nutrition Assessment Tool. This assessment tool will help you identify areas in need of improvement in your school. Additionally, you will complete additional assessment tools that are targeted towards your school. The National PTA will provide samples and templates for these in a Healthy School Meals toolkit, we will be releasing in May. But some examples include an observational assessment of students' behaviors in the cafeteria, which will be conducted by the PTA, or a survey assessment that can be sent home to parents to understand their perceptions along with their kids' perceptions about school meals. The assessment tools will be used to generate your action plan. The action plan will be completed in a collaborative fashion between you, the local PTA, the food service team, and the school principal. The action plan will demonstrate the areas of improvement which you plan to address and explain how you are going to address these needs. You will then submit the action plan to the national PTA. This will serve as a support checkpoint so we can go over your action plan together, and will also serve as a checkpoint for receiving the second portion of the grant funding. So after that, the action plan implementation can start in August, but it's suggested to start no later than January of 2017. Now on to applying for the grant to improve your school meals. So here's the basic outline of the application. The first portion of the grant application will gather PTA and school information. The narrative section is the bulk of the application and the section that is worth points. This section includes the current school information, school meal information, your success vision, grant agreement terms, school leader agreement form, and the W-9 form. This is the Healthy School Meals Grant homepage on the National PTA website, which can be found at the link provided there in the middle at www.pta.org/schoolmeals. This homepage will provide you with more information about the grant and supplemental resources. This is also where you can access the grant application through the Apply Now button right there in the middle. I do want to draw your attention to the bottom where you can find the grant application resources. The school leader agreement form is necessary to be printed out and signed by your food service manager or director and school principal. The other documents are supplementary resources that will provide direction and ease while going through the application process. So let's quickly go through these to get acquainted with them. So the Healthy School Meals Grant Overview explains a little more about the grant, provides the grant agreement terms, and provides a selection criteria. This is a great document to reference when talking with your food service manager, director, and school principal to give them a little more detail about the grant. This is the Successful Application Steps document. This will provide you with a little more direction and also the steps you need to complete before sitting down and completing the application. So congratulations on completing step 1 by reviewing the grant overview and attending this informational webinar. Step 2 is where you will partner with your school. First, you will want to set up a meeting with your school's principal to discuss the grant opportunity with him or her. And once he or she has agreed that this grant opportunity is something the school would like to pursue, you will get his or her signed commitment on the school leader agreement form. This is provided on the school meals homepage. This is also a good time to discuss what the principal would like to see improved with school meals. This information will be included in one of your short answer questions. After getting the signed commitment from your school principal, you want to meet with your food service manager or director to explain the grant opportunity and confirm their commitment. After getting their signed commitment, you want to go through the food service provider conversation starter document, which we will discuss here in a second. For step 3, this is the application preparation step. Here you are going to want to gather all of your information. You will need PTA contact information, school contact information, student demographic information, information about your school meals described in the grant overview, and a scan of the agreement form signed by your school principal and food service manager, and also your PTA's W-9 form. So just to note, the short answer section is in the narrative will take the most time of the application. Nonetheless, it will not take you too long because you will have already obtained the information during your meetings with the school principal and food service provider. But we have heard from the PTAs in the past that it helps to type out your answers to the short answer questions ahead of time and then just transfer the work over into the application. Regardless, I do want to remind you that once you open the application, you do have to complete it in one sitting or all of your work will be lost. So for the grant application, there is information that only your food service provider or manager will know, and so it is important to sit down with them early on to gather this information. The food service conversation document will provide guidance for what to ask when speaking with your food service manager or director. The first page of the document includes the straightforward questions such as, what is the % average daily student participation in your school lunch program of enrolled students at your school? You will probably have to leave a copy of this document with the food service provider in order to give them sufficient time to gather the school meal statistics information. So make sure you allow yourself enough time for them to gather this before the application deadline. The second page includes suggested questions to better understand the picture of your school meals. These will help you prepare for the short answer questions in the narrative section of the application. Please feel free to ask questions that are specific to your school. This is not meant to be an interview with your food service provider, but rather a dialogue. So really go with the flow with this one. The School Leader Agreement Form is the document that you will upload to the application that shows a signed commitment from your school principal and food service provider. This shows the school leaders what is needed from them in order to ensure the success of the grant. Okay, so now we're going to go over what will be asked in the narrative section of the application. After completing the initial school information and PTA information, you will get into the heart of the application. First, you will gather the ethnicity breakdown by percentage for your school. You can get this information from your principal during your commitment meeting or by going to greatschools.org and searching for your school. Next, the school information section will be completed with the information you collected from the food service manager. These questions will include the questions from page 1 of the food service provider conversation starter handout that include the yes or no questions or asking questions for specific percentage information. The short answer section is only comprised of 2 short answer questions, and this is the first one. This provides us with a snapshot of your school and school meals. So we want to understand the strengths and weaknesses of your school meals. The strengths are important because these are the areas that can be built on, and the weaknesses and needs of your school meals are going to give you an idea of where your intervention can be geared. It is important to understand what the food service providers feel their challenges are when trying to serve healthy and enjoyable meals to the students. The questions asked during your meeting with the food service provider will help frame your response. And we also do encourage you to go have lunch with your kids and purchase the meal served that day. Take note of the cafeteria environment. How much time do the students have to eat? Is it a positive environment that promotes healthy food? Are there vending machines that are providing junk food? This is also the area of the application where you can provide us with any other additional information that you think is important for us to know. The success vision is the second short answer question, and this is where we want to hear what you were hoping to achieve with a Healthy School Meals grant. If you've applied to previous grants with the National PTA, this will be a little different because we are not asking for a specific action plan or activity that you would implement. Here you want to take the information gathered in your conversations with the food service provider and the school principal to provide a joint success vision. So for example, if you've gathered that the cafeteria environment is an area in need of improvement, ask yourself, what do you want to see improved? What would the possible end results look like? So your vision may include to sell more fruits at the point of checkout, or having low-fat white milk shown first in the cafeteria line so kids grab this first, or painting healthy foods and healthy behaviors on the cafeteria walls, or maybe advocating for more lunchtime so students have time to enjoy their meals, or advocating for lunch after recess so students are less anxious and consume more of their food. These are all small strategies that can be combined to improve the school cafeteria environment. You will not be held to complete the examples you have included in the success vision. Rather, we want to see what your thought process is and really what you're hoping to address for your school meals. The success visions also demonstrate that the local PTA, the food service provider, and the school principal are thinking sustainably. We want to create long-term improvement for your school meals so that it'll be sustained for a longer period of time and impact students to come. And for the last area of selection in the application, we have the agreement terms, the school leader agreement form, and the W-9 form. For the agreement terms, this is a simple check yes or no box, and these are the agreement terms listed on the grant overview PDF. The school leader agreement form is what we previously saw. This will be used to demonstrate the commitment from your food service manager, director, and school principal. And lastly, you will have to submit your W-9 form. This ensures us that you are eligible to receive grant funding. So what are we looking for in an applicant? Because the agreement terms, school leader agreement form, and the W-9 form are automatic points as long as you upload them to the application, you will primarily be assessed on the school information and the success vision sections. So for the school information section, a successful applicant will be someone who can clearly demonstrate the current picture of their school meals. So someone who briefly discusses the strengths of the school meals and then dives into the challenges and needs the school is facing. And we do suggest picking a few larger needs or challenges and providing some examples to support these while still keeping it brief. And for the success vision, this is where we want to understand the vision that you, the local PTA, the food service provider, and the school principal really have in mind. As we previously discussed, your success vision, to start with the bigger, large picture outcome you are hoping to achieve, and then can narrow in on one or more examples. And remember, we really don't expect you to follow through with these visions because your intervention will be largely based on the assessment, which will not be generated at this point. We just want to get a feeling for how you and your team are thinking. And so we do not suggest to run on about specifics because the application only allows for 250 words. So you really do have to be succinct and to the point. All right, and that brings us to the wrap up of the Healthy School Meals webinar presentation. I'm going to open the floor for questions. So we have Stacy Banks asking, is it only 25 schools chosen from the whole nation? Yes, we actually only are doing 25 schools. However, we are also releasing our Healthy School Meals Toolkit around May. And so if you do not receive the grant, you still will get the support from the PTA and you'll get these awesome resources that we will be providing. So yes, we are actually going to upload this presentation. We did record it, so we're going to upload it to our school meals homepage on the pta.org/school meals. So this will be available to you. And then I think we are thinking about also emailing the presentation out to you as well. So we have Stacy Banks asking us, are there concerns about families not having meals with their children if they participate in breakfast or lunch programs? I am going to have to ask you maybe to clarify this question or possibly to contact me outside of the webinar. But this is really just focusing on the meal served in school rather than taking kids away from breakfast or lunch that you would be having with them outside of school. We really do want to promote the parents getting involved in the cafeteria environment. So you are invited to go to your school and to sit down with your kids. So if you're worried about not having the meal with your children, that would be a great opportunity for you to do that. And the food service providers really are looking for some feedback and hearing your opinion and really getting you involved in the process. So I would imagine they would be very open to the idea as well. But if that did not answer it, I do have the contact information on the next slide and on our school meals homepage. So Donna has asked us, if we have free breakfast already, is our school more than likely not going to be selected as one of the schools to get this grant? No, definitely not. That's actually very great that you guys do offer free breakfast. However, I'm sure there are still needs and there are challenges that your food service provider has kind of thought of. Maybe they are very excited about breakfast and left it at that for a little bit, but there are other challenges I'm sure that need to be addressed. And so going through this process and having those conversations are really going to open up the challenges that you guys are facing. And then also when you're doing the Healthy Alliance for a Healthier Generation assessment, this will help you identify areas that you may not have thought about. So like for example, I spoke about having lunch after recess, and this is actually shown to increase fruit and vegetable consumption upwards of 50%. So there really are some small changes that can be made that we really haven't thought about. Oh, so Stacy has brought to my attention that some schools do not allow parents in. This would be actually interesting. There are wellness committees that are set up in the school districts, and also some schools have them as well. And so that might be something that you could bring forth to your principal and your food service provider to clarify why this is. Um, and you do serve as a great resource to your kids. And if they see you eating these fruits and vegetables and actively enjoying this meal, then they're more prone to as well. So it's just bringing that conversation to the food service provider and the principal, and maybe getting them to think differently. So that's what we're really excited about this grant opportunity, is that it opens these conversations. So hopefully that's something that can be addressed there. So the applications, Stacey Banks has asked us where we send those. It actually is an only online form, and I do want to remind you guys this. So if you go to the pta.org/school meals homepage, there is that apply now button right there in the middle. And this takes you to our online platform. It's through questionpro.com. And so this is where you're going to enter all your information and then just hit submit at the end. And so this is why we do suggest that you get everything kind of ready for you to go, so you can just sit down and transfer all the information over. Besides monetary help, is there educational or ideas that we can get to help our school even if we don't get the grant? Absolutely, yes. So we are super excited about this grant and the whole Healthy School Meals movement, and to be involved in it. And so that's why we are coming out with our Healthy School Meal Toolkit in May. And so this is going to provide you with a PTA leader's guide. And so it'll include information about how to, start that conversation with the food service provider and principal, or if you've already gone past that because you've done it through this grant, then there's going to be additional information about how to assess the school meal. So we're going to include information about the Healthy Alliance for Healthier Generation assessment tool, and we're also going to provide our assessment tools in there. And then we also are going to include some ideas and some ideas to improve your school meals, and then also small changes that you can do, kind of like the ones I've listed already, but we're going to put it all out into a toolkit online. Will the toolkit come to the PTA only? Or sorry, will the kit come to the PTA only? So the toolkit is offered online, and so it's going to be a printable version. It's nothing that we are going to send out. However, we are also going to include some information in here for the food service providers. So there'll be information for you. There's going to be information for them, just to really bring that collaborative team together. So yeah, I do really want to reiterate that it's not just monetary help. We really are going to be here with you guys through the whole process. So as you're assessing your school environment, assessing the school cafeteria, and you're starting to think of ideas where you'd want to use the grant funding for, you can always double check with us and like, hey, are we thinking along the right lines? And we can go through that process with you guys and make sure we're all thinking on the same lines, and you're really developing a strategy that's going to address the challenges and needs that your school is really facing. So we are definitely going to be a resource for you, and we are going to provide those printable resources as well. So Donna has asked us, we already do the whole wheat and homemade products, but the kids do not like it. Any suggestions? So that's great. I'm very happy that you're doing it. I know some schools are having a harder time making that transition. So suggestions for this. So this is going to be more that meal quality problem. Um, and so possibly you want to change the students' perceptions, and that's really how you're going to get them to enjoy it more. So the small little changes like going and having lunch with your kids and showing them that you like it, or working with the food service provider and maybe having like a recipe contest once a month where the kids start to get involved in the process, because really getting them involved and having them have some responsibility and ownership of the process has shown to increase their perception of it, and their taste as well. So there are some small strategies that we're working on for situations like that. But I think getting the students involved, maybe even just like highlighting it with posters, like, making it friendly for kids or fun names for them rather than just pasta that looks brown to them. You make it like nutritious, not nutritious, but those fun adjective words that are really going to kind of ring to them. So Stacy has asked us, what happens if we have someone who is nominated for next year but not this year? So this is important because it's not just the PTA leader that's going to be involved. We do want the whole PTA involved, and so getting that getting everyone involved in your PTA and just making sure that there's a smooth transition because this grant will be going from now until next April. It is going to cross that leadership timeline. So just making sure that it's something that the current PTA leader wants, and I believe they should, and then making sure that there's smooth collaboration. So hopefully you two could work on it together. So the timeline and due date of this is the grant application is due April 4th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And so this is when we are going to evaluate then all the grants internally. And then in May, we are going to release the grant awardee names and PTAs. And so then from there, you have time to develop your action plan. So it's kind of dependent on you and what your food service provider and principal have on their plate. Um, we kind of would suggest that you start working on it in in the summer before school gets out, so you can start thinking of ideas of what you would change and how you're going to address these needs. But the actual action plan won't have to be submitted. We don't have this completely finalized, but until around December. However, we're thinking that it's probably going to be best if you do submit it no later than like September. So this allows you for enough time to get your implementation strategies really ready through October and November, December. And if you, the last month you want to start implementation is January. So Donna has asked us, where would you suggest to get ideas for a better lunch? Are you asking more so for additional lunch ideas for meals served or how to improve the lunches? Um, because there are a ton of resources for this, and that's something that we're very excited about for our Healthy School Meals Toolkit that we will be submitting in May for you guys to get access to. Um, but the USDA actually has some really great resources. They have a team up for team nutrition, and this actually provides like small little strategies, kind of like what we've discussed earlier in this webinar. So that's a great resource for you. Pew Charitable Trust also has a bunch of great resources, the small changes that you can do. But yeah, we're really hoping, we're really excited about May, that this will be a good opportunity for you guys to go to one place and get these great ideas for evaluating your school meals, for opening that conversation, and then just for addressing these needs. So is this in place of the Healthy Lifestyles grants or in addition to them? This is in addition. This is actually under the Healthy Lifestyles department. As far as I know, this actually is the only current grant that we're doing under Healthy Lifestyles. But yes, we are going to, as you know, notify you guys as more grants come out. But this is the first time the Healthy School Meals grant opportunity has come along. And so we are very excited to offer it for you guys. All right, so it looks like we are about, oh, we have one more question here. Any tips for talking with the food service manager? Yeah, definitely. And so this is another resource that we're super excited to include in the toolkit. Um, but really opening the conversation initially, just saying that we're here for you. We all want what's best for our kids, our students. And so we're here to help you bridge that gap, the student perception gap. And we want to advocate for improved school meals. So don't go in like, we have this great opportunity, we're going to change school meals, because that might, they might be taken aback by that. But really allowing them to know that you're a resource for them, that this is going to be a partnership that you guys are all going to work on, and that you're going to listen to them, and that what their needs are and their challenges are really going to be relayed in this grant. And so we're hoping that they are really receptive, because it's a great opportunity for them to express their concerns and their needs and their challenges, and for our PTA leaders to really just kind of help take their energy, their positive energy, and work in improving this. Because I know a lot of times they don't have the time, or maybe they don't think that they don't know where to bring these needs to. So you opening up that conversation is really probably going to help kickstart that. And we definitely have heard from some fellow food service providers that the parents do need to be involved, and that it does open that channel for them. And so really following that food service conversation starter handout is going to help you as well. The questions that you're asking in this document are going to help relay to them that this is a collaborative partnership, and that you're looking to hear from them what their needs and challenges are. This is only for PTAs. Yes. So this, it's not like winning the lottery. Yes, this is only for the PTA, local PTAs that are applying. So you guys really do have a good shot. I can't tell you what your chances are right now, but it is only for local PTAs. So local PTAs are the PTAs that represent the schools or school districts. So rather than a state PTA that represents the entire state, the PTA local leader who represents a school. Okay, so it looks like we are about done with the Q&A session. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have any additional questions, please really feel free to contact using the information on the following slide, or going to the School Meals homepage through www.pta.org/schoolmeals. We are very excited about this opportunity, and we hope to hear from you guys soon.